This week at the front, there was a looming threat of losing Dobropilya. Seemingly forgotten until now, armored columns advanced to storm positions in Donetsk region. The Russians wanted to break through to their forces, who had ended up in our encirclement. And they managed to gather so much force that even after losing 2 or 3 tanks on the march, part of the Russian military column still managed to break into the village of Volodymyrivka. Thanks to the incredible efforts of the Azov National Guard Corps, the 7th Air Assault Corps, assault regiments, and unmanned systems forces, the breakthrough was eliminated. This was stated by President Zelensky. 16 armored combat vehicles, 3 tanks, tow trucks, dozens of motorcycles. These are the enemy's losses, all in just one day. In total, according to the president, the Russians have already lost 13,000 personnel on this section of the front. It's hard to even imagine this kind of hell. But here's how unexpectedly Ukrainian tanks operate, saving Sumy almost every day. And why the Muscovites shudder when they hear that the unusual Shkval unit is going on the assault. Our correspondents from TSN, Andriy Tsaplienko, saw it firsthand and will tell you about it now. And also in this episode, we want to support the 55th Radio Technical Battalion. Its fighters are defending the Ukrainian sky in the east and south, and they are in dire need of FPV control kits. That's why every 10, 20, or 100 hryvnias you donate via this QR code matters. This is our contribution to a protected sky and our hope to save the lives of our heroes. Thank you.
The northern direction, Sumy region, places I knew well before the war. And now I simply don't recognize these abandoned, destroyed villages. The roads leading to them have turned into endless tunnels of netting, and beneath the nets, burned out cars. Dozens of charred pickups. This vehicle was hit just a few hours before we arrived. But this does not stop the fighters of the 71st Jaeger Brigade of the Air Assault Forces.
The adrenaline is like that, just a little bit, just a bit.
If you expect the tunnel to protect you 100% from drones, that could be a fatal mistake. Drones on fiber optics fly under the netting, land at the roadside, and wait for their target. The only effective protection is 2 shooters with shotguns who constantly watch the sky.
It'll be fine, no worries. And that's how it sneaks in, trying to land on the road. I shot one down once, he shot one down 2, and so on.
Yes, by striking these roads with drones, the Russians are trying to cut off all communications for the Ukrainian grouping. But despite painful losses, Ukrainian logistics did not collapse. The idea of creating a so-called buffer zone in the north of Sumy region, which the Russians were counting on, did not work out. Right now, the defense forces are trying not to let the enemy get close enough for small arms combat with our infantry. Essentially, this is the main task of the artillery paratroopers. The old American M101 howitzer, in the hands of the artillerymen of the 71st Brigade, turned out to be a very unpleasant surprise for the enemy, especially in the forests of Sumy region.
Your attacks on the flanks have accelerated significantly, even...
Laughs. The enemy even calls it a monument, yes.
They call the Tolsky Monument the Polish. Who's controlling it?
The Russians are stubbornly trying to counterattack in Oleksivka, north of Sumy. A few weeks ago, a Ukrainian flag was raised in the village. But small assault groups of the occupiers tried to enter Oleksivka again. That's exactly where the paratroopers' cannon is now firing.
Right now they have some movement, some build-up, but it's relatively small. 1 by 1, 2 at a time, sometimes 3. Just a little more time, a few more rounds of ammunition, and we'll drive them back across the state border.
One of the best infantry units pushing the Russians out of Oleksivka, Shkval, is the only assault battalion formed mostly from former convicts. What do people in prison say about these assault units? People are either interested in this or not really interested on the whole.
Everyone reacts differently. Everyone has their own take. Some say, I don't give a damn, I'm not going, I'll just sit here and do my time. And I say, I'll go fight so that those guys can sit here comfortably.
People who left the assault units left behind everything in prison that they called living by the code.
The first time I was in for 185-3, that's burglary. And the second time I was in for...
a house breaking in.
A store.
The content is specific. They carry out the same tasks. And our main task, essentially the only one, has never been cancelled in war. It's not to protect the enemy, not to protect the unit. They stormed the enemy's positions and dugouts, and they did it very effectively. And they stormed so hard that, believe me, the units, excuse the expression, were in shock.
This guy received serious injuries. He can't go on assaults anymore. But to remain useful, he volunteered to carry the wounded off the battlefield himself.
On foot, because you can't drive there, no way. And to the place where we carried them, we still can't get there by vehicle.
That's the only way to try to get through the zone that the Russians have created around Oleksievka with FPV drones. But they also have something much more dangerous than an ordinary FPV drone. By the side of the road, a winged drone called Molnia. A cheap frame, electric motors, and up to 10 kilograms of deadly payload. It's guided in the same way as an FPV drone, but it's faster and much harder to shoot down. Molnia not only targets military positions, but also terrorizes civilians, easily reaching as far as Sumy. But the 71st Jaeger Brigade learned to shoot them down even on the distant front lines, saving the city from Russian terror.
We are holding back the enemy in the sky. We use something like FPV interceptors.
We shoot down enemy strike drones like Molnia.
By doing this, we ensure logistics, save lives, and address many other factors.
Shooting down a Molnia, which maneuvers in the air, is much harder than hitting ground targets.
The difficulty lies in the fact that you're having a shootout at speeds over 100 kilometers per hour. Both it and the TV.
Where is it?
It's already in front of me. Ah, I saw it.
And what is that?
That's a Molnia too. It has 6 kilograms of explosives in its nose. They are unpredictable in every sense of the word. And bang. Done.
This time, the 6 kilograms of explosives didn't reach the target. A life has been saved, or maybe more. So, what's your success rate, percentage-wise?
Above approximately 80 to 90.
That's why, for the Russians, these guys are a priority target. If they figure it out, they won't hesitate to use missiles either. That's why the first thing they do at a new position is set up quality camouflage. It's the only way to survive and win here. And now, this is already neighboring Kharkiv region. Now we'll show you how, thanks to good camouflage, you can use weapons here that, in other areas, drones destroy dozens of kilometers from the front line. The main thing now is logistics. How to reach the position. How to get out of it. From Sumy region all the way here, that same buffer zone that the Kremlin dreams of was supposed to stretch. In reality, the occupiers are losing thousands of their soldiers just to hold on to 3 isolated patches in the north of Slobozhanshchina. Everyone here understands perfectly well what this is for. As I understand it, they want to reach Lipsy. What does Lipsy offer?
Lipsy is the most strategic location in the Kharkiv direction. If they take Lipsy, it will become much harder across the entire Kharkiv front.
The enemy has a numerical advantage. The defense forces are trying to outmaneuver them. It seems like there's no tank here, but in fact there is. Unexpectedly for us and unnoticed by the enemy, its powerful caliber is working in the interests of the brigade in the National Guard Khartia. It may seem that now, during the era of drone warfare, the importance of armored vehicles on the battlefield is diminishing, but the experience of Khartia shows that tanks still matter. Right now, this single tank is blocking an entire Russian unit. In military terms, this is called firing from concealed positions.
If it is camouflaged and firing from concealed positions, we can cover a radius of 10 kilometers to the right and left.
The enemy is hiding in the forest. They are trying to figure out where the fire is coming from. But the Russian return fire whistles off in a different direction. The enemy can't see where the shots are coming from. And they can't figure out that it's a tank that's firing.
The shell's flight speed is very high and the trajectory is very flat. That's precisely why the enemy cannot properly orient themselves and react quickly. This is because they simply do not hear when we fire the shot.
At the Kuman checkpoint, they thank the tankers. All shells hit the bullseye.
The tank successfully fired 3 shots at the target.
This is a very good and effective weapon for such critical moments.
That is, from the attack on Kharkiv, they not
refuse. They never refuse. Also, exactly what kind of attack on Lipka?
This is a captured Russian armored vehicle Tiger. For the battalion commander of the Khartia Brigade, it is one of the means that provides logistics near Leipzig. For us, it's an armored taxi to the front line. For the enemy, it's a reminder of how it will all end. Ollie's dreams of an offensive in the north. Andriy Tsaplienko, Lyashenko, Serhiy Perfilov, TSN This Week. 1+1 Marathon United News.